Hey guys, I'm Sartorial Phil. Welcome back to my channel. This is another Runway review, and I used to only do them for Louis Vuitton, but I've been expanding because there's been quite a lot of shifts in the creative directors. So this is the Burberry show from Spring/Summer 2019, and Burberry is yet another house that has combined their men's and women's. So this show was today, as I'm filming this, September 17th at London Fashion Week. And in this video, I'm going to be focusing only on the menswear, since that's what my channel is about. But of course, it was a show with both women's and menswear. So what you're seeing now is the end of the show where they show all the looks. And what I'm going to do is go through each of the looks, but I'll be focusing more on the looks that I felt were more interesting and had items that I think were more of my favorites. So Riccardo Tisci, who spent 12 years as Givenchy, has replaced Christopher Bailey for this show, and you can definitely see the distinct difference between Burberry under Christopher and now Burberry under Riccardo. And both of them designed both the men's and women's line, so they didn't have a different creative director for each. And as you see through the looks, I'm going to talk to you about the references and what I think some of the pieces kind of look like in terms of the fashion landscape. This first look is definitely very editorial. There were a few looks like this, and he's actually carrying a leather umbrella in the back. Well, so the handle's leather, and then there's a holder that's also leather. You can see that it has the chain detail, which I think he did for Givenchy. And then at the belt, looks like one of those bike locks. The hardware though, I know it's just a plain carabiner, but that plus the padlock reminds me a lot of what Kim Jones did for Louis Vuitton actually. And this is a double-breasted suit, which is bringing back, I think he's bringing back a lot more tailoring back into Burberry. And plus I think he did that a lot more when he was at Givenchy before. I feel like the last few seasons were much more street and urban wear. This is another look, just with a different color umbrella. The chain around his waist is a little bit different though, because it doesn't have that plastic protector. And you see the brown leather on the padlock as well. This is the third one. I think he only featured 3 of these. The shirt is different, so this is a navy double-breasted suit, and then the shirt is striped. And you'll see a lot more of the shirt too. So this is one of my favorite looks. I know the shape isn't anything new, but I do really like the graphic on this. This pattern reminds me a lot of the water lilies design that Frank Lloyd Wright did. He was an architect, but he also did these geometric designs. And you can look that up if you're not familiar with what I'm referring to, but it kind of really resembles that. This next piece is kind of unexpected, pretty cool. The pinstriping is definitely very Givenchy, but it's cut off on the top by a sweater. At first I thought it was a sweater overlay, but if you look closely, there's no blazer top, so it's like a half and half look. This is another pinstriping, and that shirt is like chevrons. And one thing you might start noticing is most of these shirts have a tie holder, I guess you would say. So near the top of it, you can see on the right in the full length picture, there's a holder that's holding the tie in place. You can see it here too. And I kind of wonder what it would look like without the tie, if it would be odd or it would look interesting as well. So here's just another blazer, it's single-breasted, and there's 3 buttons across the middle, which is new. Here's more pinstriping, but in the center it's in a chevron, and he's wearing like a nylon trench coat. So the trench coat, nothing too special about it, but the pinstriping look, as you can see, goes all the way through the bottom. And then here's another trench coat. So the collar, he's doing this almost basket weaving effect. We saw it in a blazer before. This is a trench coat now with a blazer or a suit underneath with a tie holder. But what's new here is in the chest, there's like a button strap. There's 4 buttons, which I think would allow you to wear this trench coat without buttoning the exterior buttons, and you don't have to worry about the trench coat flying off. This design motif is carried over to a sweater as well. It does seem pretty cool. It reminds me of some of the elastic that they put on some of the slip-on sneakers. I think that Givenchy had done before. And this one has that chevron striping pattern as well. Here's yet another, like a trench coat in a very sheer fabric with that chest piece as well. It feels like a different interpretation of the shoulder patch. There's like an extra patch, but now it's on the inside of the jacket. Here's another jacket. This one reminds me a lot of Dior Homme, the black ribbon with the text on it. I think it probably says Burberry, but it just reminds me a lot of what Dior Homme did for the Atelier designs. So this is another kind of semi-sheer trench coat. And this is the last of like the navy coats, and it looks like there's a cardigan built into it, or it's on the outside. I wasn't too blown away by the leather goods, so this is one of the shapes that was carried throughout. This one was pretty interesting. So the shirt is a white background Haymarket check, which is their house pattern, but on the outside, this is like a cutout sweater. It's actually cut out. I don't think it's sheer. You can see with the holes. It reminds me of what Dior, or what Kim did for his first show at Dior with his translucent Dior jacquard. I thought this look was the most Givenchy because it has the black and white photos and it's kind of blurry. He did this quite often with Givenchy, especially during the later years, if you remember with the Madonna prints. And I think there were a few animals that were treated this way as well. And there's a graphic in the pocket. And this next piece, it looks extremely luxurious. The material, I think it's probably neoprene, but the surface of it looks like cashmere. It's in a very soft beige camel color. You actually see the new TB icon or logo on the belt there. So this is like a dual layered coat because you can see it extends on the bottom like a blazer, and then the front is a zipper jacket. Here is another coat in that same fabric, but this is like a long trench coat or long car coat. Styled with the same belt, you can see it peeking through there. And here's another bag, but in crocodile. I'm not sure if it's embossed or if it's real crocodile in the front, in the middle part. So here's yet another bag. It's kind of like looks like an equestrian bag that Louis Vuitton had done. And the previous bag reminds me a lot of what Fendi had done before. So like I was saying, the bags weren't that special in my opinion. So here's one of the last coats where it's in that traditional Burberry beige color, but he's treating it with the brown leather patches for the pockets, and then on the inside you can see has that pale Haymarket check, not the regular beige one. So I think that's probably the check he's going to use. Thanks for watching. What did you think about this collection? Is there anything you have your eye on that you think you might like to get? And he's actually, or the house is actually selling the B series already on Instagram, and supposedly they may carry some of these looks on Instagram as well, just for a short number of time. Burberry did this with the last collection too, or it may have been the last two collection, but I know they started doing it where they would immediately sell some of the runway items right after the show, which is great for consumers. And I think part of the reason was also to prevent knockoffs or people duplicating their style, because usually, if you're familiar with the other fashion houses, it takes them like 6 months before you can actually buy the goods. And by that time, fast fashion companies would have already taken the designs and reworked them pretty quickly. So by the time you got the runway goods, you may have already seen people wearing the styles, and you may be disinterested. That's kind of a problem with fashion with these 2 seasons overall. So hope you enjoyed the video. It was an interesting runway, definitely very different from what Burberry's used to, and I definitely personally saw a lot of hints of Givenchy, Riccardo Givenchy in the show. A lot of tailoring, darker colors, a lot of use of black. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in my next video.